Oi gente, tudo bem? Para quem não me conhece, eu sou o Romir e você está na Romir Playhouse. E hoje eu vou entrevistar um ilustrador que já ilustrou mais de 400 jogos. Ele é Franz Vohwinkel, um ilustrador alemão que ilustrou desde jogos do Klaus Teuber como Drunter und Drüber, até capas de livro e ilustrações de Magic, Dungeons and Dragons, Battletech e assim por diante. Ele tem inúmeros jogos ilustrados, é um ilustrador que eu gosto bastante e que é o responsável pelo logo da SPIEL.digital. Então vamos lá dar uma conversada com ele? First of all, friends, thanks for your time for this interview, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much.
And the first thing I want to know is that in 91 you make the first illustrations for Drunter und Drüber. Eigentlich, ich habe das Spiel hier. Drunter und Drüber. Deine erste, your first graphical illustration for a game.
Yes.
Yeah? And that, I know, it was your graduation year also in graphical design. Is this your first professional work?
Well, it was my first game, my first board game. I had been working in advertising agencies for a while, and I was also studying graphics design and working as a cartoon artist, and so those were my early beginnings. But this was indeed my first game.
Very nice.
First board game.
And it's very interesting. You talk about something that I research. You really make comic books. It's very interesting. Here, in your second game, The Flieg and the Holländer, in the back it stays ein junger Comic Illustrator und Spielliebhaber. Steht hier in the back of the box. Really, you did really comic book illustrations, and you really like board games before you came to the graphical design from board games.
Yes. So it was. I went to Darmstadt to study graphic design there, and with my fellow students, they introduced me to playing board games. And at the same time, I was working for there was this magazine. I forgot the name. It was like for the city of Darmstadt. It was like one of those magazines where you can look up events and schedules and all that. What's going on? Where do I have to be? And they also had a little comic strip that was like on the last page. Yeah, I was doing that for like 2 years.
Oh, and
yeah.
and then you came to board games. How you got this work to make a board game in the Drunter und Drüber and then in other board games? How you go to this work?
So that is all because of Klaus Teuber. You know, as a student, you don't have much money, so
for sure.
I was always trying to get work. And one day, out a little advertising in the newspaper. Hey, I do cartoons and comics, and if you want, I can do it for you, and you just give me a call. And he did that. He read that ad. He was the only one who called me, and back then he wanted to do a Barbarossa. That was like 2 years earlier. And he wanted to self-publish this game. And he was looking for a graphic artist who could do a cartoon-style design for his board game. And so we met, and it was like really enjoyable. He liked me and my work, and he wanted to actually have me as a graphic artist for this. But then he decided against self-publishing, and I think it was published by the company Us,
yes,
which doesn't exist anymore. And And they were not willing to take the risk to work with a young and inexperienced illustrator. So it didn't happen. But he tried it with the next game, and eventually he met Bernd Brunhofer, and he agreed. So, and that's how I got to do it.
Very nice. And since then you have already over 300 games that you make the graphical design, I think.
Yeah. It's probably even more.
Yes.
I stopped counting, really.
In Board Game Geek, I look at it, and there is 498 games, but there's also many expansions for them, no?
Right, and they have some mistakes in their database. Ooh. I can tell you that a couple of those games are not my work.
Someone impersonating Franz.
Right. Yeah.
Very nice. And but you don't do only board games. I know that you make illustrations for book covers and books and so on. They're completely different lines of work. Yeah. What is the comparing the work from a board game and the work from a book or for something else? What are the difference in terms of challenges and work to do those lines of work?
Well, so I think there are mainly two differences. The first one is that the illustration for a book cover, it just has to be pretty. That's all. But illustrations for a board game, they have to work. You have to be able to play with it. You have to be able to see everything, even if you're sitting like on the other side of the table, and if the lighting is bad, and all that. So it has to work. It has a purpose. It has a function. The other thing is that with a book cover, I have to tell a story, right? Because I have to tell the people about what is this book? What is it about? What could it be? Is it fantasy? Is it something? I don't know. Is there a hero or whatever? For a game, the game tells the story, not the illustration, right? It's more like when I work for a game, it's more like I work for a stage production on a theater, right? Where the actors, they are doing something. That's the players, right? And the game. But I have to make the props.
Very.
I think that's probably the most basic differences.
Very interesting. And I read it here. I have the 6 nimmt Jubiläumsausgabe.
Yeah.
This was the first full abstract game that you worked according to the rules. But
okay, then it's probably correct.
But there is something there's a piece of information in the instruction manual that catch my interesting. It says that was a graphical design that you don't use any computer to make. You make all old-fashioned to cutting and make the lithography and so on. Is that correct? And how was work with this?
It is correct, because I think that was like in the early 90s, like 93, 94 maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. And I had just finished my graphic design study and moved to Munich. And the thing is that computers, they were already there, but they were super expensive at that point, and many people didn't know how to do graphic design with a computer, including me, because I learned the job right before the computers came along. So I know all the old stuff, that isn't done anymore. And so 6 nimmt was done like on a big, strong cardboard, and there was a layer of like dark red masking foil on it, and I had a scalpel, and I was cutting each of the numbers, each of the letters. I was cutting it by hand and removing the foil, and so, and that's how I made the graphics, and basically that it was basically a black and white or like dark red and white board, and then you put another layer on top of it, like a transparent paper. And then you take a pencil and you write for the printer. You write on, okay, so this number 6. This I want this in 100% magenta and 100% yellow, which gives a nice bright orange red, right? So I was writing all the numbers for all the colors on there, and that's what I sent to the printer. So basically, so they basically reproduced my black and white work and printed it in the colors that I had given them. So yeah, it was very different. It was very
different from now. Now we can see in the computer how is the end work, and back there was all in your mind.
Yeah. Right, right.
Very nice. And I know that another big step in your career was in '96. You was the first German illustrator to illustrate Magic the Gathering, a card in Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
And in the Battletech collecting card game, TCG.
Yeah, Battletech. Yeah.
And since then, you illustrated lots of fantasy and sci-fi books, including Dungeons and Dragons, Legends of Five Rings, Warhammer 4K, and so on. How was the experience to make those early drawings in '96, in the late '90s for Magic and so on?
Well, I always thought of Magic as already being a big success when I joined it, because I think Magic came out in '93 or something, and I was in Munich, and I was going to a couple of game groups, playing board games like once a month and stuff, and one of my friends came up, hey, I've got this new thing, take a look at that. And that was when we first played Magic, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is amazing, right? And so I knew Magic already, right? And for me it was fantastic. It was great. And then it became bigger, clearly, and that must have been in '95, so 2 years later, and that was when I first met American art directors in Essen at the Spiel. Suddenly at the Amigo booth, Americans. Oh wow! So. And I was able to talk to them, and I told them, hey, I love this. This is awesome. I'm a fan. Can I work for you? And basically I had a little help from Amigo there too, because they told them, hey, it would be great to have a German artist here, right? So someone that we can send to German events and have them sign cards and stuff like that. So yeah. They helped me a little bit there.
Very nice. And you have numerous arts. You have many arts since your debut with games. Do you have some of your arts that are your favorite art pieces?
So not really. And the favorites I have, they usually don't stay my favorites for long. because something else comes ahead, and I realize, well, this isn't good. This is good too, or this I like this, or I don't like this at all anymore. So, lots of my work don't pass the test of time. I would say, lots of it looks old to me, and well. I guess I have some of my magic cards are still wonderful. I can still look at them, and so and what is good? Usually, I know it sounds like a cliche, but very often my favorite is the thing that I just finished. It's I guess that's a typical thing for graphic artists and illustrators.
I heard that a lot also from game designers. The game designers say that usually the game that they love is the game that they are developing. That's something that we heard also a lot. And now I see your T-shirt. Yes, you are the graphical designer of the SPIEL.digital, yeah?
Well, I helped a little. It is actually it's actually a huge team of people working together there, and that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working for the SPIEL.digital a lot, because usually I work here in my little office all by myself. And this was new. This was like I was working with other people together, and all those Zoom calls. I had no idea what that was. Right? So it was actually great. It was a great experience to work with them together.
But where came the idea from this module that are the worlds? Are your idea, or are ideas from our collective idea? Where came the ideas for this fantastic platform they are building?
Yeah, so it's basically that the people at Cozy they already had the idea that this is they wanted something with space and science fiction. And I was, hey, that's great. So my job basically was to come up with an idea of, that is very general. How do I specify it? How do I make something that looks like space and science fiction and really cool, but at the same time it has to work in this new environment where things can actually change. And that was a new thing for me. Usually I make an illustration and that's it. It never changes, right? But here it has to be the software can move it around, and depending on how many people are visiting that website currently. You can actually see that, because this thing will start to glow, and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, I've never done anything like that. So it was great.
This year, we already talked about. We have this SPIEL.digital, and will be a huge Spiel, because we have a massive global reach with them. Yeah. What do you think about this? What are your expectations for a Spiel like this?
Oh, so I don't. My wishes. Let's say wishes, expectations. I don't know, wishes. My wishes would be that this is going to be a huge success for everyone. Mostly for Max and Dominic from Friedhelm Merz Verlag. So because I think it is really, really important for the whole game business. If this works, this is something that goes into the future. If this works, we will still talk about this in 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Because it will establish a new baseline for everything, right? And I hope that that the real spiel comes back, of course, and that yes, exactly, and that both of them together, the spiel and the SPIEL.digital, they can create something new, something new and exciting that makes the global audience even better connected and closer.
Very nice.
I think I have high hopes. Yeah.
Me too. Very nice. Franz, many thanks, really many thanks for your time for this quick interview. Yeah.
No, thank you for having me.
And we see at the SPIEL.digital and hopefully next year in the real Spiel in Essen.
That would be awesome. Yes, that would be great.
Bom, gente, espero que vocês tenham gostado da entrevista. Se gostaram, não deixem de curtir aí, tá bom? Também não deixem de se inscrever no canal para não perder os vídeos de regras, de variantes e de curiosidades que a gente tem sempre postado por aqui. Também não deixe de dar uma olhada nas outras formas de comunicação que a gente tem, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook e a nossa página na internet homirplayhouse.com. Um grande abraço e até a próxima!